But what would be your encouragement to somebody who wrote that down and practiced it for the very first time? Because we know sometimes things don't go to plan. How would you encourage them to keep going?
I think I would say for sure, maybe they've already practiced it once. If you haven't practiced it once, I would really encourage you, first of all, start with a realistic version of Sabbath. I don't think you have to start off with a bang. And, if you can't do the full 24 hours, I think they even say this from practicing the way, start with a few hours, like start with a realistic version of something where you can stop and rest and delight and worship. And this is going to look different for everyone, but just start with something that seems realistic that you can and probably will build upon as you go along. You don't have to, this is a practice. I sometimes think you have to start with this, huge, complicated thing at once. Like you have to do it all at once, but, maybe just start smaller and more doable and see how God meets you in that, in the faithfulness it takes to even start small with something.
Even, I don't know, stuff comes up even during the Sabbath when problems are going to happen. Somebody will shoot you a text that, hey, they're going through a hard time, or this comes up or that comes up. And so it kind of not derails it, but it just kind of mentally helps me focus on, I don't know, not necessarily the positive things, because things are still going to go awry, but it just helps me focus on really going about my interactions throughout the rest of the day just in a very calm and just more God-centered manner, in that just by getting into the Word very early on. And then the other thing I definitely make priority as well is just worship. I find that like just spiritually everything, like we were created to worship, right? And so it's just like going about that, having a time of worship, whether that's just listening to some headphones or just walking around the park and listening some worship music there. It's like I feel like it's absolutely I don't know, it's just positive and good for the soul, but it's also just kind of good for just the outlook, the mentality, and just to remember God's promise. So
yeah.
Part of the struggle that I had with overworking a lot with school and different things was because I was trying to be perfect a lot of the time. I was struggling with some perfectionism tendencies, and then also was really bad at saying no to people. And so that's what was also causing my schedule to get so filled. I was struggling with people pleasing too, and not knowing that I wasn't Jesus. I couldn't fix problems for everyone, that I needed to be able to say no. And so even his challenge with Sabbath was for me to even help figure out some internalized lies I was like believing about myself, of I need to do everything perfectly all the time. I just need to perform for God. I can't say no to people even if I'm really tired, because I'm going to let them down. And so engaging with Sabbath as a student in my early 20s was so formative in some of those lies that I was even believing about myself. Because I had to stop for one full day and remember that I was a finite human being, that I got to say no to people and that was okay, that I got to do some of the stuff that I wanted to do, that the world was going to keep spinning if I didn't do stuff. And it just started doing this deep healing inside of me.
It's not just like removing things from your life, it's also like filling those things with seeking like intentionally the Holy Spirit and Jesus's presence. And so I think when I have a day where the day was slow and the day felt intentional, then I feel like that's a real win.